to the History of the Land of Israel podcast. I am Shaiel Ben-Ephraim, and I welcome you to the one podcast with the guts to survey the most provocative historical narrative in the world. Episode 3, Dinosaurs and Fire. They say you should start any story at the beginning, and I plan to. I mean the very beginning. Technically, the story of the Land of Israel begins with its physical creation. Here are two interpretations. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Stephen Hawking has a different interpretation of the beginning. In the very beginning there was a void, a curious form of vacuum, a nothingness containing no space, no time, no matter, no light, no sound. Yet the laws of nature were in place, and this curious vacuum held potential. A story logically begins at the beginning, but this story is about the universe, and unfortunately, there is no data from the very beginning. None. Zero. We don't know anything about the universe until it reaches the mature age of a billionth of a trillionth of a second. That is some concise time after the creation in the Big Bang. When you read or hear anything about the birth of the universe, someone is making it up. We are in the realm of philosophy. Only God knows what happened at the very beginning. Of course, interestingly enough, Stephen Hawking and the Bible agree that God knows what happened in the very beginning. So how did this land get formed geologically? Well, the land we would later call Israel was formed during the Precambrian era. That was a time spanning from the creation of the earth about 4.6 billion years ago to roughly 600 million years in the past. To put this period into perspective, it covers 90% of the existence of the planet. During this period, the Middle East was positioned on the north-facing passive margin of Gondwana. What was Gondwana? It was a supercontinent comprising of Africa, India, Australia, Antarctica, and South America. It later merged with Laurasia, another supercontinent made up of most of today's Asia. The combination of these masses, along with others, created the unit of Pangaea. That was the last supercontinent in the planet's history and the largest one, until it began to split apart 230 million years ago. It would break into the existing and familiar continental split when that newcomer, the Atlantic Ocean, split Pangaea apart into two. At that time, the land of Israel was covered with rocks, leading to its more recognizable geological formation. Because of its location near the edge of Gondwana, the land of Israel was covered in water throughout much of prehistory. It developed geologically through both the dry and oceanic periods. Finally, the land was topped off with alluvium, sand dunes, and playa deposits. But the development of Israel did not stop there. 539 to 251 million years ago, the northern and southern areas of the country started to become distinct. The north was typified by the presence of sandstone, dolomite, and mudstone, as well as the Ishrin sandstone substance. Meanwhile, the south was characterized by Ordovician age rocks in the Disi sandstone formation. 251 million years ago, continuing until about 66 million years ago, limestone and volcanic rock appeared on the land. This is the Jurassic era, best known in popular culture for the appearance of dinosaurs. As the cliched descriptions go, dinosaurs roamed the earth for 174 million years. Their existence ranges from about 260 million years ago to 66 million years before the present. So, basically, the entire Jurassic era. There is no question that dinosaurs lived in the land of Israel. Indeed, some fossils have been found, most famously the dinosaur tracks in Betzait, a sleepy suburb of Jerusalem located in the forested foothills leading into the capital city. The finding consists of 800 square feet of bedrock exposed, on which more than 200 three-pronged fork-like imprints are to be found. It is not completely clear which dinosaurs left the imprints. However, 3 different Jurassic creatures did so. We are very fortunate to have discovered the tracks left in the rock, and that is because the sediment was soft and unconsolidated. Paleontologists could only identify one of the Jurassic creatures leaving the marks, and even that is not with a great degree of certainty. Why are there so few prints, and why are they hard to identify? Well, as mentioned, much of low-lying Israel was underwater in the Jurassic era. According to Professor Rivka Rabinovich of the Hebrew University, because of our location and the geological history here, we were underwater for a long time. Therefore, we have an abundance of animals that lived during the period of the dinosaurs, but in the sea. So there were lots of sea creatures here and fewer land animals than have been known to date. However, the dinosaur in question, though difficult to identify, was likely related to the two-legged Struthimimius. To me, that dinosaur looks like a maniacal ostrich. Indeed, if you doubt dinosaurs were related to birds, this specimen will dispel those doubts. They were among the most well-adapted and common dinosaurs, leading experts to conclude that they probably survived on a varied diet of plants and meat, therefore making it easier for them to survive when there was less of one and more of the other. If you look at pictures on Google of the Struthiomimus, you will see it running on dry land. However, one theory holds that when the dinosaurs left the print, that area may have been underwater. Indeed, that could account for the lack of any tail marks behind it. Now, I'm embarrassed to say that even though I've been to Bidzeit on numerous occasions, I've never seen those storied prints. According to the Israeli newspaper Haaretz, the display conditions for these prints currently are not ideal. So here's the description. In the center of the Moshav, Bidzeit, you first have to apply to the secretariat. Ask the clerk there for the key. Promise her that you'll be right back, and then open the lock and stand there gaping in amazement at a rock on which there are about 200 prints of a foot with 3 claws. Other aquatic species swam around underwater Israel as well, including the Mosasaurus. Despite the misleading name, these guys were not dinosaurs, but rather giant reptiles that dwelled in the ocean during the Jurassic era. These creatures could reach 46 feet in length and look to my untrained eye like a hybrid mutant combination of a dolphin and a bloodthirsty alligator. The remains of the Mosasaurus were found in Oron, which is located in the Negev desert. As we all know, dinosaurs are now extinct. The leading theory as to why remains the classic one. A change occurred in the Earth's climate due to a meteor's fateful landing. The meteor, about the size of Mount Everest, landed in the Yucatan. Eventually, the changes that it wrought made life for all dinosaurs unsustainable, even in little old Israel. And now for a little note on oil. Now, today the Middle East area is incredibly rich in oil. Most notably, the Persian Gulf, or Arab Gulf, depending on who you ask, and the countries near it, starting from Syria all the way into the Gulf. The area contains about 48% of the oil resources and 38% of the known natural gas in the world. Meanwhile, it only accounts for 3.5% of the global landmass, so it's been quite blessed. Israel didn't benefit from this bonanza. On the contrary, it had the misfortune of receiving almost none of this bounty, with the exception, of course, of a few minor oil finds and a significant natural gas find in the Mediterranean Sea in recent years. Why did this happen? Well, the unique location of the Persian Gulf, where Laurasia met Gondwana, led to the geological formations there that allowed it to become a fossil fuel mecca, so to speak. The marine shales there contained oil-prone organic matter. But the land of Israel was located behind this geologically productive environment and ultimately missed out. So, subscribe now. Remember to follow us on Facebook and Twitter and join the conversation. See you next time on the History of the Land of Israel podcast.